1972 to 20th May 2024, we are going to be looking at the historical context of what we are celebrating. Lots of talks about what this day actually signifies and the motivations for the abolition of the federal structure of the nation. We decided this time around to bring two young history teachers who have been teaching on this subject to help educate us and explain what actually happened in 1972 that set the foundation for what is being celebrated nationwide. Today we are in the company of Mr. Jentle. He is a history teacher and researcher out there. We're glad to have you, Mr. Jentle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo, and my media TV team. I must first of all applaud what you people have been doing here, trying to educate Cameroonians in different fields. We are here on this platform. I, in person, I'm not a politician. I'm a researcher in history. We are trying to bring the historical analysis of what happened on the 20th of May 1972. From 20th of May 1972 to 2023, that is 53 years. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here.
We also have Sir Echelon Kasmila, who is also a history teacher and researcher. Good evening. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, our fellow listeners, viewers of my Media Prime TV. It's a wonderful night that we will be looking at the referendum that took place in Cameroon on the 20th of May 1972. We are going to be looking at the importance of our national day. We'll be looking at circumstances surrounding the abolition of the federal system of government in 1972. So you should all sit attentively and follow us as we demystify the historical fact. Thank you.
Especially students who are preparing for the GCE, if you have a brother or sister who is preparing for the GCE examinations, especially writing the history subjects both at the O and advanced level, they may pick up some information in tonight's edition of the program. Mr. Jentle, what actually do we call a referendum that took place in 1972, 20th of May?
Before coming to answer your question, Mr. Leonard, I come across the certain document online today. I don't know where the document is coming, a communique, but on that communique indicating, talking about the National Youth Day, 20th of May 1972 today, and they are indicated that independent. Well, so on that document, communique is indicated that independent, and I felt a type because we researchers in history, we hate when something contradicts with historical facts. Actually, Cameroon had two independent dates. Those are historically proven. And I'm on this platform, I'm very clear to my viewers, to my students. I'm not a politician, I'm here as a researcher in history. Cameroon have two independent dates. The first, that of French Cameroon. It called French Cameroon. I will come back to your question, Mr. Leonard. We are talking to educate and sensitize people. Cameroon have two independent dates. We have French Cameroon, you have Southern Cameroon. When Cameroon was partitioned in 1916 between Britain and France, the area region that speaks French today was called French Cameroon under France. From 1916 to 1960, it was called French Cameroon. But on the 1st of January 1960, this area region that speaks French today, they had their independence. When they had their independence from France, the name changed from French Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon. So the independence of the area region that speaks French today was on the 1st of January 1960. Now, to Southern Cameroon. With the partition of Cameroon in 1916, the section Britain took, that was 1 feet at the smallest portion, was called British Cameroon. Britain divided it again into two, British Northern Cameroon and British Southern Cameroon. Our focus of interest is on British Southern Cameroon because British Northern Cameroon on the 12th of February 1961 voted to be part of Nigeria. So their history is attached to Nigeria and not Cameroon. British Southern Cameroon was administered part of Nigeria by Britain from 1916. And on the 1st of October 1961, British Southern Cameroon had independence, not as a separate entity or separate state, but in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. Now, Mr. Leanard, you asked me a question. What really happened on the level of, what really happened today that we celebrate at the 20th of May 1972? A referendum. A referendum simply means, to better understand what we're celebrating, called the Unity Day today, we need to go back to 1961. It is clearly historically. But what happened is that on this date of today, 20th of May 1972, Cameroonians massively voted that Cameroon should be changed from Federal Republic of Cameroon to the United Republic of Cameroon. Yes, but now the foundation of that start from 1961. I have made it clear that two Cameroon was part. We did not partition Cameroon. The European partition Cameroon. British and France partition Cameroon in 1916. Now we have made it clear that Southern Cameroon and French Cameroon decided to come together in 1961. Southern Cameroon, we had two advocates. You have Dr. Endele, who advocated that Southern Cameroon to integrate with Nigeria, and you have Foncha, who advocated that Southern Cameroon should be part of French Cameroon. And UN organized plebiscite on 11 February 1961. And in this plebiscite, what happened? Southern Cameroon under Foncha won Endele and took the Southern Cameroon to be part of the Republic of Cameroon. Leanard came in Fumban to establish what was known as a federal constitution, or the Federal Republic of Cameroon. So the Federal Republic of Cameroon was established in 1961, bringing together two states. Who were these two states? Southern Cameroon, today Northwest and Southwest that speak English, changed to the state of West Cameroon. French Cameroon, today originally speak French. It was French Cameroon, but when they had their independence on the 1st of January 1960, the name changed from French Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon. So Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon came together in 1961 to establish a constitution known as the Federal Constitution. Two states coming together to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon. So the Federal Republic of Cameroon was established in 1961. From 1961 to 1972, that is almost about 11 years, the federation was dissolved and a unity state was created. It goes operational on the 20th of May 1972 in a referendum that you asked me about. But now, it was a referendum that Cameroonian, both of West and East Cameroon, voted that Cameroon should be changed from federal to unitary. So 20th of May, what we're celebrating today, we're calling Unity Day, is the day that they changed the name of Cameroon from Federal Republic of Cameroon, that started in 1961, to the United Republic of Cameroon in 1972.
Yeah. What would be what were the objectives sought after by the governing class at the time to wanting to move away from the federal to the unitary structure that we are celebrating today?
All right, that's a very good question that I was expecting. Now, there were reasons that were advanced by President Amadou Ahidjo for the dissolution of the federal system of government in 1972, and these reasons, we are going to look at them into the political domain and economic domain. Now, on the 9th of May 1972, Ahidjo entered the Federal National Assembly and asked the representative that he would wish that the people of Cameroon through election should vote to see if the federal system of government should be abolished or it should be maintained. And the question you asked talk about what were the motives behind the dissolution of the federal system of government. One, I usually look at it, the federal system of government was too expensive, the expensive nature of the federal system of government. A young country like Cameroon was having 4 assemblies. We have the West Cameroon House of Assembly, the East Cameroon House of Assembly, yes. We have the Federal House of Assembly, and the West Cameroon House of Chiefs. These 4 assemblies made of 213 representatives, whereby the Federal House of Assembly was having 50 representatives. The East Cameroon House of Assembly had 100 representatives. The West Cameroon House of Assembly has 37 representatives, and the Southern Cameroon House of Chiefs, or West Cameroon House of Chiefs, has 26 representatives. All in number, they were 213. So this this vast number of representatives was squandering a lot of money from the state coffers to be able to run these 4 assemblies. It makes it difficult for a young country like Cameroon to continue to function. So Ahidjo used it as a pretext Again, another economic reason we are going to look at here was we talk about the cumbersome nature and the complex nature of the federal structure. When we talk about the cumbersome and complex nature, we are looking at in a domain whereby there was frequent duplication of services. We look at services that were being carried out in West Cameroon by secretaries of state. The same services were carried out by the federal ministers in Yaoundé. So Ahijo discovered that billions of francs CFA were being spent to duplicate services, and as such, there was a need to scrap off the federal structure. Again, economically, we talk about unbalanced revenue. West Cameroon was a state that was existing. It existed for 10 years, 8 months, close to 11 years. And the state of West Cameroon had financial challenges. The financial challenges faced by West Cameroon make it for Ahijo to dissolve the state of West Cameroon. By 1966, when Augustin Ngomjoa came to power just 1 year as Prime Minister of West Cameroon, the state of West Cameroon was unable to pay its workers, and to the extent where the state of West Cameroon has to borrow 400 million francs from the federal government so as to be able to pay workers. And again, that very year, the federal government gave subventions to the government of West Cameroon, and as such, it made it difficult for the state of West Cameroon.
Are these facts documented? Or
they are historical.
They are just politically raised. Yeah.
I am not a politician. I am a history researcher.
Okay.
These are facts that they are documented and they are proven.
What would have caused the government of West Cameroon not to be able to pay workers to the point that the federal structure had to come in?
Now, yeah, that's a good question. If you look at historical facts, we will discover that by 1961, Ahijo came in, and then immediately the federal constitution was put in place. 3 weeks after, on the 25th of October 1961, Ahijo came out with a presidential decree that divided the Federal Republic of Cameroon into 6 divisions, making the state of West Cameroon a division on its own. And now, these divisions, Ahijo appointed federal inspectors who came in, and they're having wider powers than the state prime minister. So, the federal inspector in West Cameroon was called Jentle. He came in, and historical fact proves that Jentle carried revenue in the state of West Cameroon. Ahijo intentionally created financial shortage in West Cameroon by transporting money from West Cameroon to the federal government in Yaoundé, and this created a financial situation in West Cameroon that the state could not handle, and as such, Ahijo now has to use it as a reason to pin West Cameroonians that we cannot run, we don't have finances to manage the state, and as so, we should change the federal system to a unitary state whereby the federal government or the state government will be able to run the affairs of the country.
We are still on the motives, yeah?
Yeah. Let me come in. I think what we are doing here, we're consulting primary and secondary sources there. The National Archives in Boya and other sources were consult sources. We are not talking emotions here. Those are pure historical facts. We are not politicians. I'm not a politician. Yes, but he is talking something, and I will talk. If he something about the West Cameroon Bank, you ask a particular question. I will add to him. He's a colleague. You ask a question about the key objectives or reason why Cameroon was changed from federal to what? Unitary. On many platforms, I keep saying that federation is not a Frenchman political culture. Most federated countries in the world, they don't speak French, they speak English. Federation is an Englishman political culture, not Frenchman. Not only in Cameroon, most French speaking countries or francophone countries in the world, they don't practice federation. Australia practice federation, it's English. America practice federation in English. Our neighborhood Nigeria practice federation in English. Now, you have asked us, you ask me, why is it that Cameroon was changed from federal to unitary in 1972? When the Republic of Cameroon were going to Mfumban in 1961 to meet with Southern Cameroon under Foncha, Ahijo's mindset was not federation, because federation is not a Frenchman culture. I think one of the key reasons why Ahijo in Mfumban decided to accept on federation was because during the pre-plebiscite campaign, Ahijo promised Foncha that if you succeed to win and bring the people of Southern Cameroon for reunification, I promise you we are going to adopt federation so that you maintain your culture and maintain my culture. That's what Ahijo promised Foncha before before pre-plebiscite meeting and campaign, because Foncha was campaigning for reunification. Now, the key Ahijo, that's why in Mfumban, When Southern Cameroon arrived in Fumbandi, they emphasized on a loose federation, and that was the greatest loss of Southern Cameroon in Fumbandi. They have emphasized on a loose federation, but Aidjo's mindset in 1961 was unitary. He could not accept a loose federation. He now adopted a centralized federation as the first step towards unitary. The greatest loss of Southern Cameroon in Fumbandi was a loose federation, because it was changed from loose to centralized because of Aidjo's primary motive, that his aim was unitary. And I'm still repeating, Frenchman political culture, they don't know federation. Most federated countries in the world are English speaking and not French. Now let's come back to this motive. My colleague here make a mention about the expensive nature of the federal constitution. That is the bitter truth. Federation was too expensive with 4 assemblies, 3 government. Only the assembly, the deputies, around 213 deputies. A small country like Cameroon. By 1960, Cameroon, Aidjo said that that kind of money, that money that they're spending on budget on deputies, that money can use to promote social and economic development. That point was very clear. But now, let me come back to the issue of the West Cameroon Bank. Mr. Leanard, sometimes when I used to do analysis, historical analysis here, I like to bring historical facts to back up, because we are educated, people are listening to us, they will want to trace the sources, the primary source, whatever we are consulted. Now, let me come back. One of the economic reasons why Aidjo decided to change Cameroon from federal to unity was because of financial crisis in the West Cameroon Bank. It was a bank that it was in charge to pay civil servants in West Cameroon. But this bank always have financial crisis. My brother is talking of the revenue, whatever, but the historical sources still very clear that the key problem with the West Cameroon Bank was mismanagement by West Cameroon politicians. I have a historical proof here. In this document, My Odyssey, the story of reunification, written by the late V.E. Mokete, My Odyssey, it is very clear. V.E. Mokete in 1966 wanted to travel to USA, but the government of West Cameroon under Augustin Gomjoa stopped him not to travel in that 1966. Why is that they stopped V.E. Mokete? According to the government of Njua, who was the Prime Minister of West Cameroon, he was paying West Cameroon Bank 1.3 million francs, and he was unable to pay. Although he laid a lot of emphasis that he had earlier paid, and added that even if he had not paid, there are many other stakeholders, business persons, and politicians in West Cameroon who are owing the bank, and that they are not yet paid. Now, the way of lending money, to borrow money under that bank, was one of their key problems. They could borrow you money that you take the money. They can borrow money to an individual that the person can pay after 89 years. That's what cripple, one of the historical factors that cripple West Cameroon Bank. But now, in 1966, the chartered accountant for West Cameroon Bank, Jockey Manga, they said that Jockey Manga to do analysis about the West Cameroon Bank. After analysis, Jockey Manga came out that the bank is losing about 300 and something million, giving a loan and overdraft that they are unable to recover. The West Cameroon Bank had serious financial problems to an extent that in 1966 the bank was unable to pay civil servants in West Cameroon. One will be talking on reason why it was easy for Aidjo to change Cameroon from federal to unity. The first class of Anglophones or West Cameroonian who supported Aidjo to change Cameroon from federal to unity was West Cameroon civil servants. Their salary was very low as compared to salaries in East Cameroon, and they were not paying regularly. In July 1960, it was turned to the federal government in Yaoundé that gave money to West Cameroon Bank, the sum of money of 400 million something, before they were able to pay civil servants. Because of that, I just say that if Cameroon can be changed from federal to unitary, the issue of West Cameroon Bank, East Cameroon, all will come as one bank, one central bank under him, and he will properly manage and solve financial crisis in West Cameroon. But the key political motive why Aidjo changed Cameroon from federal to unity in 1972 was because of fear of secession, breakaway of West Cameroon. In the 1960s, Aidjo discovered that most federated states in Africa, most independent African states that are practicing federation, a part of them want to break away. The first was Congo. Congo had independence from Belgium in 1962, June 1962. When Congo had independence from Belgium, they were practicing federation. And because of federation, a part of Congo called the Katanga region wanted to break away under a man called Moise Chombe and form their own state, I just discovered that it's because of federation. That's the weakness of federation. Again, in the neighboring Cameroon, Nigeria, a part of Nigeria called the Eastern region, dominated by the Igbos, between 1967 to 1971, fought serious war with the Nigerian government to break away and form their own state called the state of Biafra. One of the key reasons was because Nigeria was practicing federation. And during this Biafran civil war that they were fighting to break away, many Anglophones sympathized with the Biafran. Now, because of that, I just say no. If Cameroon remain under federation, it will be very easy for West Cameroon to break away, copying for what happened in Congo and what's all that of Nigeria. That's a Biafran war that is closer to Cameroon. Because of this political reason, I just decided to change Cameroon from federal to unitary. Now, the last economic point that they need to mention on many research that we have done here, historians don't go detailing into it, but those are pure historical sources they have traced. Check West Cameroon National and National Archives in Boya. The discovery of petrol in the Indian and Victoria Bay, one of the economic reasons why I just changed Cameroon from federal to unitary. The discovery of petrol in the Indian and Victoria Bay. It was not only it's clear that the petrol was discovered in August 1964, Mr. Leanard. But before then, a German mineral exploitation company in 1904, Echelon mentioned that Cameroon, Victoria, and Indian Bay are rich in crude oil in 1904. France was aware of that. Now, when this oil was finally discovered in August 1964, that the Indian and Victoria Bay is rich in crude oil, it was very clear that if they start exploiting this crude oil, the West Cameroon government will become financially stable. And statistics show that most people who are independent are those who are rich, who want to be on their own. I just fear that if they exploit the Victoria or the rich crude oil at the Indian and Victoria Bay, it will enable West Cameroon government, we have talked about their financial problem we're having, they will become financially stable. And if they are financially stable, let me learn, if they are financially stable, that will enable them to start threatening about secession. Because the eastern region of Nigeria, under Biafra, will threaten of secession because they are rich in oil. The Katanga region in Congo will threaten of secession because they will read the mineral resources like copper. So I just fear that let's change Cameroon from federal to unity so that the oil in West Cameroon will be controlled by one government in Yaoundé. Okay. And that way, yes.
Yeah, but we are talking today because there are lots and lots of positions regarding this celebration. What was the resistance that President Amadou Ahidjo received from politicians from West Cameroon? Was there resistance or they all endorsed it?
Yeah, the politicians in West Cameroon, there were some of them that were in support of this federal structure. I will talk particularly about Estimuna, Solomon Tandemuna. He was a unitarist. He supported the dissolution of the federal system of government. But again, we look at the opponent, Augustin Gomjoa, who by then was the Prime Minister of West Cameroon. He was not in support of the dissolution of the federal system of government. So Joa from the onset was not supporting this idea of a unitary state. That's why if we go back to the Fumban Constitutional Conference of 1961, we will discover that Joa in Fumban was not happy with Djongo Froncha was prime minister because Froncha has become too loose to Ahidjo to allow Ahidjo impose a centralized federal system. Njua believed that the type of federation that was to be put in place was to be a loose federation. So it shows that Njua was an ardent federalist, he was a stern federalist, somebody who loved federalism. But Ahidjo came to realize that for him to achieve his objective, because the idea of a federal system of government, Ahidjo started this idea since in 1961, but many people will not know. Ahidjo started it, but he needed to move gradually. Ahidjo was a politician who was very intelligent. He knew that he could not just start and then from a federal system and then move instantly to a unitary state. From the onset, Ahidjo knows that from federalism, I'm going to a unitary state, and he was moving from one stage to another. That is why Ahidjo, I have talked about in 1961, Ahidjo has to sign a presidential decree dividing Federal Republic of Cameroon into 6 regions. making West Cameroon a region and appointing a federal inspector. Now, this federal inspector, Ayijo discovered that Jentle, since he was his representative and he was having wider powers than the Prime Minister of West Cameroon, whom by then the Prime Minister was Augustin Ngomjoa by 1966, from 1965 to 1968, that was the time frame when Joao governed West Cameroon as Prime Minister. So Ayijo appointed this the federal inspector so as to have wider powers more than Augustin Ngomjoa. Now, this Prime Minister, the federal inspector came, and Ayijo discovered that Joao again was still, since he was an obstacle on his way, Ayijo needed to sideline him. Ayijo now has to go now and struggle to change Cameroon to a one-party state, knowing full well that with the existence of political parties in West Cameroon, they are going to take part of his power. So Ayijo, one of the strategy of Ayijo was that on the 1st of September 1966, Ayijo has to dissolve political parties in West Cameroon. For example, we have the KNZP of Jongu Foncha that was dissolved on the 13th of August 1966. We have the CUC, Cameroon United Congress of St. Muna. Muna accepted to dissolve this party on the 6th of August 1966, and when all these parties were dissolved, Ayijo has to form the political party Cameroon National Federation, the CNU, on the 1st of September 1966.
Yeah, but were they not parties? Were they not political parties this other way?
They were They were political parties in the state of East Cameroon. Now, Ayijo has to face a problem to dissolve these parties in East Cameroon, because we have politicians like André Marimbinda of the Democrat Cameroonese Party, who was not in support of the party Unifi or the Unified Party as was proposed by Ayijo. We have Theodore Manyimatip of the legal wing of the UPC party, which the illegal wing was banned. We have Dr. Marcel Bebe Iidzi, and we have Charles Okala. These were politicians in East Cameroon who were not in support of the one-party state. Ayijo now, in 1962, Ayijo has to use dictatorship. They were arrested and put in prison for 30 months and asked to pay a fine of 250,000 francs each. Now, the situation was different as concerning the state of West Cameroon. Ayijo has to call these politicians and promise them positions, promise and finances. They accepted to dissolve their political parties. When their parties were dissolved, Ayijo now, when he formed the one-party state in 1966, the CNU, now he discovered that he was the pilot of political affairs in Cameroon, and so there was no opposition to him. Therefore, by 1968, Ayijo discovered that the only West Cameroonian who was an obstacle to his drive to a unitary state was Augustin Ngomjoa, and on the 11th of January 1968, Ayijo shamefully dismissed Augustin Ngomjoa and appointed St. Muna, who was somebody who supported the idea of a unitary state. So Joa, I think, was the only politician in West Cameroon who was not in support of the dissolution of the, though we also have people like we have Abemukon of the OK Party, who was also arrested and put in prison because he was not in support. Because I will cite A. and Joa, I will cite Abemukon, I will cite Ndei Tumaza. These were some of the people in West Cameroon who were not in support of the dissolution of the federal system.
Okay.
Let me only focus. Let me cue to what you asked. You asked a particular question. Did people oppose, especially West Cameroonian, did they oppose the creation of unitary state? I think my colleague bringing some points clear, mentioning some names like Aben Mokong, Ndei Tumaza of One Cameroon, and others. Now, let's go back to that 20th of May 1972. Before the 20th of May, Ayijo have signed 2 degrees. One was signed on the 8th of May, and another one was signed on the 12th of May 1972. Degree number 62/DF/235, signed on the 8th of May, focused only on how to organize campaign for the referendum. While degree number 65/DF/236 of 12th of May 1972, this particular degree focused on the composition of those who will be selected to do counting.
Yeah, but that's the process. That is the process. Before coming to this process where decrees were made, I'm talking about how did Ayijo make this decision? No, was it a unilateral decision, or did he consult Parliament? Or
on the 6th of May 1972, Ayijo consult. Mr. Leonard, I don't want to divert. I want you to pick one after the other. I wanted us to first look at the West Cameroonian who opposed. What happened when they opposed? Because that particular topic we are asking now, we'll go to articles. We know that Article 47 of the former federal constitution say nothing should be done to tamper with the federal structure. We are going to come to that. Yes, obviously. Now, Mr. Leonard, sometimes when I used to sit on platform to talk about this issue of referendum, we Anglophones, we the people of Norway and Southwest, sometimes we put a lot of sentiment and feelings in this thing and not historical fact. Mr. Leonard, before the referendum on the 20th of May 1972, the ever first political party for the whole of Cameroon that opposed referendum was the UPC. UPC was the first political party that was created in Cameroon on the 10th of April 1914 in Douala, New Bell. UPC said no to referendum and made it clear that and drafted a document known as no to referendum. And her reason was that the manner of which they are rushing with it. And number one enemy of UPC was France. UPC made it clear that France is behind the referendum. And they say no, they're not interested. That's the first political party. Secondly, the only political party or individual of West Cameroon who opposed a referendum of May was Thomas. He had a political party called Cameroon. My colleague made mention of him. Now, on the 13th of May 1972, in Mfundong, two personalities were arrested. That's why sometimes we begin to ask, was it democratical? Was it a democracy? Because we are going to see majority only for unity. And the few who make attempt against unity, they were arrested. Yes. In Mfundong, a certain Stephen Ngess was arrested because on that day he was campaigning against unity, telling people because there were two ballot papers, white ballot paper saying yes or we for unity, black ballot paper saying no or no for federation to remain. So Stephen Ngess, he was with his brother somewhere. He was his brother Martin. So they were campaigning that West Cameroon should vote. They were telling those who were following that people should vote for no, let Cameroon remain federation. But before evening, they were arrested. The principal of the then CPC Bali, Cameroon Protestant College, Mr. Neba, they was called Samuel Neba, he was also arrested. And they say he was carrying activities that is going against the referendum. These are individuals that they were fighting against the establishment of unity state. Abel Mokong also, he also involved and he was even put to prison while the Thomas went on exile. But now we have other few cases like the Jehovah's Witness Church that was also against. They did not vote because they say that it is not part of their religion to become involved. But unfortunately, Mr. Leonard, a majority of West Cameroon politicians, were supporting Aidjo that Cameroon should be changed from federal to unity. Sometimes, see, politics is a game of interest. If Aidjo was fighting that Cameroon should be changed from federal to unity, it might be for the interest of French Cameroon, the Republic of Cameroon. But Southern Cameroon or West Cameroon politicians were for their individual interest. We should know this and have peace. Which is a game of interest. Yes, let's say yes, Aidjo played a part, Aidjo was backed by France and whatever. It was for the interest of French Cameroon or the Republic of Cameroon, let's put that way, state of West Cameroon. What was the individual effort of West Cameroon politicians to defend their interests? A man like Augustin Gomjoa, although he was first against and he was dismissed in 1968, Foncha was first against, was dismissed in 1970, but in 1972, these politicians constituted a team. In West Cameroon, there were two teams, Mr. Leonard. The Northern Zone, under Estimona Chair, the Northern Zone. The Southern Zone, under Henry Elangwe. And all of them were sent to their village of origin, to their different constituency, to go and do campaign. A man, apart from Augustin Gomja, who was not sent, a man like Foncha, on the 13th of May, he was in Bamenda grandstand to campaign that, telling Cameroonians in Norway that the importance of unity and discouraging federation. That was a top politician. In Victoria, that was Enderi was there campaigning. All of them were sent to their different constituency to campaign. But what I'm saying here is because we keep saying that this. If Aidjo was fighting for the interest that unity should be created, maybe to benefit the Republic of Cameroon or whatever, what was the individual interest of West Cameroon politicians? What was the general interest of West Cameroon politicians?
Aidjo at least consult Parliament?
Yes. That's why now we now come. Let me not highlight that. Let me not take the microphone. First of all, Article 47 of the former federal constitution stated very clear that nothing should be done to tamper with the federal structure of Cameroon. Nothing should be done to tamper with the federal structure of Cameroon. That's Article 47 of the former federal constitution. Now, let me land Mr. Echelon so that you take over. Now, Article 2 of the same former federal constitution states that Mr. Leanard, the article 2 of the former federal constitution stated very clear that national sovereignty of people rests on the people, and they can national sovereignty is vested on people, and they can express it in two ways, either through the legislature or the assembly or through a referendum. People have the right to express their national sovereignty through the legislature, the assembly, or through referendum. I just chose referendum for them on the 20th of May 1972. But now, Article 18 of the former federal constitution state clear that before they could approve that Cameroon to change from federal to unitary, House of Assembly, a majority must approve. There were 50 deputies. Federal Assembly, there were 50 members of Assembly, 40 from East Cameroon and 10 from East Cameroon. Listen clearly, these are historical facts. If 6 parliamentarians from West Cameroon out of 10 say that no, they would have stopped, they wouldn't have changed Cameroon from federal to unitary. I still repeat, forget about 40 from East Cameroon. If 40 in East Cameroon say yes, 1 Cameroon to be changed from federal to unitary, and 10 in West Cameroon, if only 6, according to Article 18 of the former federal constitution, say no, they wouldn't have changed Cameroon from federal to unitary. But what happened? A majority of both houses agreed that Cameroon should be changed from federal to unitary. I just consult the assembly.
Okay, so he consulted the assembly, and from every indication there was some resistance, but not too much.
No, very minor resistance.
Aijo is, as my colleague said, Aijo on the 9th of May 1972, he entered the Federal National Assembly that consisted of 50 representatives, and then he asked them that he would love that through a referendum, the federal system of government should be scrapped to a unitary state. He consulted them, but now the question you ask, there was resistance in West Cameroon, as he said, in some area, because if you look at the way the federal system of government or the referendum was conducted, you discover that Aijo sent an federal agent, and they went on grounds and they were making campaigns. And you even see in other areas where the gendarmes had to even intimidate people to vote the yes answer out of their wishes. So left to historians, we will have believed that Aijo will have allowed the will of the white people of Cameroon to vote to see whether the federal system should be scrapped up or not. But since he has to use intimidation, and since the gendarme was not very popular in West Cameroon, many people became afraid and they were forced to vote the we or the yes. And we see the statistics speaking for itself. You discover that in the referendum, you have 3.3 million people voted we, and only 176 people in West Cameroon voted no. How do we assess this? And then we say that people in West Cameroon, only 176 wanted that the federal system of government should scrap off from the statistics.
How many parties were there? Okay, there was no party.
But then there was no political party. Aijo was, let me make it clear that Aijo has to form this, change Cameroon to a unitary state. It was a gradual process.
Yeah, but when politicians west of Cameroon decided to dissolve their party in favor of one major party, guided by President Amadou Ahidjo, what were they thinking?
Now, as my colleague earlier said, what kept the politicians in West Cameroon was their personal interest was above national interest. If you look, the first politician in West Cameroon who accepted for the dissolution of political parties in favor of the CNU was Esti Muna. And Muna did this because there was a crisis within the KNDP party that started from 1963 to 1965, and as a result of this crisis, Muna was dismissed from this party. When Muna was dismissed, he left with some members of the who were dismissed from the KNDP, and they had to form the third political party in West Cameroon known as Cameroon United Congress. When Muna formed this party, Muna felt that for him to sit and see the KNDP continue to rule the state of West Cameroon, I prefer they should dissolve all political parties communities, and all of us, we should be under one umbrella, which is the CNU of Amado Ahijo. So we discovered that it was because of greed, their own personal interest, that made Ahijo to exploit it to its own advantage to dissolve the federal system of government to a unitary state.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Lowe, I made some before. See, I'm still taking something over. Federation is not a French system of government. It's not a political culture of French-speaking country in Africa. Federation is not a part. Immediately they arrived in Fumban and established federal structure in Fumban in 1961, which Ahijo never wanted, although he adopted a centralized and not laws as Southern Cameroon wanted. Let me turn this on to Leo. From 1961, immediately, Ahijo started putting in place ways on how to change Cameroon from federal to unitary. We should not only focus on 1972. 1972 was just harvesting. Ahijo put in place ways, measures, stages that worked for in his favor from 1961 right to 1972 to change Cameroon from federal to unitary. Let's look at some measures Ahijo put in place to change Cameroon from federal to unitary. Mr. Leonard, when they partitioned Cameroon in 1916, Southern Cameroon were using different currency from French Cameroon. They were using pounds under Nigeria, part of Britain, while French Cameroon were using CFA franc. Mr. Leonard, the first economic measure Ahijo used preparing Cameroon to a unitary is that Ahijo decided that no, two Cameroon cannot be using, federation cannot be using two different currency. West Cameroon cannot be using pounds, while CFA franc while French Cameroon using CFA franc. And what did Ahijo do? Ahijo decided to put an end to the use of pounds in West Cameroon and CFA franc replaced. In April 1962, Ahijo made sure that CFA franc replaced pounds in West Cameroon. So the first measure, economic measure, Ahijo made sure that there should be single currency all over the federation. CFA franc replaced pound in 1962. Mr. Leo, the second measure Ahijo also used, I'm looking how he was working toward unity in 1972. Another measure Ahijo also used to economic measure Ahijo also used to change Cameroon federal to unity is that Mr. Leonard. The two Cameroon, that is Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon or French Cameroon, they had different way of doing measurement, weight and measurement when they want to measure something. In Southern Cameroon, when they want to measure something, they use yards or miles. They want to measure something, they use yards or miles. In East Cameroon, when they want to measure something, they use kilometers, meters, and other. I just said that no, two Cameroon cannot be using different way of doing measurement. They should use single. In 1964, the miles and yards that were used to do measurement in West Cameroon were replaced by kilometers and meters. Mr. Leonard, whether I like or not, I was talking here now. Let's go to any capital or place to do something measurement in West Cameroon, in Northwest, in Southwest. The capital will say how many meters. You don't hear about yard or miles. But there are some quarters, some towns in today Northwest and Southwest that they were named in those days using the miles. You go there, you hear about mile 17, mile 14, but who doesn't exist today because Ahijo have changed everything to use kilometers and meters. That was not all. Another economic measure Ahijo also used it to change Cameroon from federal to unitary is that another economic measure Ahijo also used to mention to change Cameroon from federal to unitary is that Ahijo decided that Ahijo decided that roads should be constructed linking West and East Cameroon. That's one economic measure he used to change Cameroon federal to bringing the two states together. He started working on the Tiko Douala road that were constructed and completed in 1969. Baminda Babajo Bafusam road, Lom Tombe road, Kumbambangal railway line. That was the Kumbambangal railway line was existing under the Germans. That was another measure that Ahijo have used. He also made sure that there should be single trade union all over the Federal Republic of Cameroon. And Ahijo also made sure that the economic booming towns in West Cameroon like Kumbambanfi, Ahijo have worked in the way that most businessmen in West Cameroon focus on Douala. More than look at the Tiko International Airport. Preparing Cameroon to unity, it was not used as the way the Douala Airport was used. Okay,
hello Mr. Kum, greetings from Bonaberry. Happy National Day. Happy National Day to you too. You did not give us your name. And please, when you write, tell us where you're writing from, especially your name. Greetings, Mr. Liu. Happy May 20th. I'm writing from Fumban. Same to you and every one of you watching us from the noon division of Cameroon. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please let me make this correction. I heard one of your panelists, the man in African West, say 20th May was a day when the unitary state was created. No, 20th May was the referendum day for the people to decide between the federal and the unitary systems. But the unitary state actually took effect in Cameroon on Saturday, the
2nd of June, 1972.
The 3rd of June, 1972.
Yeah.
Walumo Bisong is writing from Chico. Yes, just land.
I think I was saying that, so he have used this measure like constructive rule linking West and East Cameroon, bringing them together, and he now went to political measure between that 1961 to 1972. What are the political measures? I just used to change Cameroon from federal to unitary. My colleague Oleme mentioned one of the political measures, dividing the Federal Republic of Cameroon into 6 territorial administrative regions, headed by federal inspector that I just make sure that they give them wider powers more than the state prime ministers. And we also go to creation of single party. In September 1960, Aijo dissolve all political parties and create a single party. How does the creation of a single party enable Aijo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary? With only CNU, Cameroon National Union, there was no oppositional party to stop Aijo from changing Cameroon from federal to unitary. Another measure Aijo also uses that Aijo made sure that most federal ministers are from East Cameroon. If they are not from East Cameroon, he appoints most advisors to federal ministers to come from East Cameroon because they had little knowledge about federation. Because federation is not a Frenchman political culture or political culture. So most, I just make sure most of the federal ministers or advisors are from East Cameroon. Those are historically proven. On the 20th of October 1961, Aijo appointed 16 federal ministers. Out of these 16 federal ministers, only one was from West Cameroon. That was Estimona. 15 were from East Cameroon. And in 1971, out of 22 federal ministers, only 3 were from West Cameroon. The remaining one were from East Cameroon. These federal ministers who were mostly from East Cameroon, with their lack of knowledge about what federation was all about, it also helped to destroy federation and prepare Cameroon towards unity. We should now come to the 20th of May 1972, Mr. Leonard. One of the political measures Aijo also used is that Aijo made sure that if you are working in his government, you are a supporter of unitary. If you are working in Aijo's government and you don't support unitary, he will remove you and bring in somebody who is in support of unitary. My colleague already give a little example here. In 1960, Aijo discovered that Njua can be an obstacle to the creation of unity state. He discovered that Estimona can be, he is in support of unitary. He replaced Augustine Gonjua with Mona. In 1970, Aijo discovered that Foncha can be an obstacle to unity state. And Mona is in support of unity. He removed Foncha as the vice president and put Mona. Now, why is it Aijo is removing Foncha? Mr. Leonard, let's go back to Mfumban Federal Constitution. At the highest blunder of Southern Cameroonian in Mfumban was Article 4, 5, and 6 of the Mfumban Federal Constitution. It vested a lot of powers on the president. President was the head of state. He was the head of government. He was the commander-in-chief. He was had power to appoint and dismiss any other person. That is why at the end of the Mfumban conference, Aijo was the president, Foncha was the vice. But in 1970, Aijo used constitutional power vested on him in Mfumban to dismiss Foncha as the vice president of Federal Republic of Cameroon and replace him with Mona, as my colleague was saying. And he revised the constitution again, giving Mona not only the vice president, but maintain vice president and prime minister of West Cameroon between 1970 and 1972. So when we begin to talk about referendum 1972, I will plead with one of the audience. I said that on the 20th of May 1972, that was the day of the real unity day. Unity state went officially. 20th of May was the voting day. On that voting day, we are giving a number. My colleague are giving a number. More than
3.3 million voted in favor.
Yes.
As against 176.
176. So that 20th of May was not used. It went operationally on the 2nd of June. It's not the 3rd of June, 2nd of June.
Okay. So, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Sir Prince Will watching from Bonaberi. Douala, my regards to my brother Echelon and Mr. Jentle. I'm really enjoying the program. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Happy 20th May. In Yaoundé, I'm writing from Bamenda. We are indoors. How did it go that way? Okay. I know there is a lockdown in the northwest and the southwest region. Happy May 20th to all of you guys watching this program. But apparently, from what you guys are saying, politicians from West Cameroon went down to campaign for the abolition of that. There's some other factors that facilitated the abrogation of the federal system.
Yeah.
away from what you guys have just said?
Yes.
Yeah, from the onset, I make it clear that the abrogation of the federal constitution or the federal system of government was divided into political and economic reasons, and here we have to explain the economic. Now, if we look at it, Ayijo came to realize that with the existence of the federal system of government, it was not promoting national unity. If we are celebrating national unity today, it is because Ayijo discovered that with the federal structure, national unity and integration was not always promoted. We have the example of the Bakosi-Bamileke crisis of 1966, whereby in this crisis, Ayijo discovered that the two fractions of the people of Cameroon, both the people of West Cameroon and those of East Cameroon, were feeling as if they are people of separate states. And as such, Ayijo discovered that the federation was not promoting national unity, as the case of the Bakosi-Bamileke crisis will show. And so he decided to scrap off the federal structure. Again, another political reason we are going to talk about, Ayijo from the onset, as my colleague said, he was not in support of a federal system from the onset. Ayijo's idea in Fumban in 1961 was to transform Cameroon to a unitary state. We are not sentimental or by saying it, but let us believe and we know that the French system of governance does not favor federalism. And as such, Ayijo was just camouflaging to accept the federal structure in 1961.
Okay,
he knew that by 1962
I want us to progress with the discussion. Are there some other
facilitators? Let's say that why is that it was very easy for him to change Cameroon from federal to unitary? Why is that it was easy for Ayijo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary? Ayijo has support from the judiciary. Federal Constitution, former head of the judiciary. Ayijo has support from the military. Federal Constitution, he was commander-in-chief. Ayijo has support, but look at some key pertinent facilities, or why it was easy for Ayijo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary. I've already explained that he made use of constitutional power now. Head of state, head of this. Anybody who go again, he dismissed you using constitutional powers. But let's look at another facility. There was no opposition party now. He have dissolved all party and created a single party. What was another facility? West Cameroon civil servant. They supported Ayijo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary. Why? Because of salary. There was salary disparity. The per capita income for West Cameroon was 19,000 francs. What that of East Cameroon was 46,000 francs. Sounds very much, my colleague. So Ayijo, West Cameroon civil servant, support unity so that they will enjoy better salaries than that of East Cameroon. What are another facilities? Were West Cameroon politicians of the coastal and forest region. West Cameroon politicians of the coastal and forest region also supported Ayijo's creation of unity state. They believe that if unity state will be created, West Cameroon will be divided into provinces or region, northwest and southwest, and that will help to free them from the grass fee domination. Those are historical facts. They have earlier demonstrated that in November 1964. In November 1964, a pressure group was created in the forest region or coastal region by a man called Mesombo Waters. The name of the pressure group was called Vicoma. These are historical facts. What was the key function of Vicoma? It was a pressure group that was trying to defend the interests of the people of the forest and coastal region against the grass fee domination. I don't want to call province, but at that time they were not for province. Vicoma was created by Mesombo Waters to protect the domination, the marginalization of the people of the coastal and forest region, today southwest, by the people of the grass fee, today northwest. That was the key function for Vicoma. And when he created this political pressure group called Vicoma, he gained ground a lot, because when Cameroon was partitioned in that 1916 with that Southern Cameroon or British Southern Cameroon, between 1949 to 1954, Britain divided against Southern Cameroon into two administrative regions, the Bamenda province today northwest and the Cameroon province today southwest. So Vicoma gained a lot of ground, because according to Vicoma, they consider, those are historically proven, that most key positions under West Cameroon were dominated by people of the grass field today northwest and southwest. There was an economic institution in West Cameroon called West Cameroon Development Agency. It was in charge of projects in West Cameroon. Most key members in that particular agency were people of the grass field. Some of them could not even were unable to write their names, but they just put them there because of party affiliation, tribalism, and nepotism. Again, we have talked about the key prime ministers of West Cameroon, beginning from 1961 with Foncha, Njua, and Mona. All of them were from the present day Northwest. These are historically proven. I'm not a politician. All this make the creation of Vicoma. crying that the Grasfi are dominating most of the political institutions in West Cameroon. That also make them to support Aejo for change from federal to unitary. They believe that if Cameroon change to unitary, they will divide West Cameroon into province, and they will have their own separate province and free from the majority Grasfi population. Unfortunately, it is historically proven that the government of Foncha, KND, from 1959 to 1965, most of its workers under the ruling government of West Cameroon under Foncha were from present-day Northwest. And unfortunately, within Northwest, there was still domination. It limited most of the people came only from the Mezam division and excluding other people from within Northwest. That's why we see most politicians from Northwest, like from Kambi, Tamfu, and others, they decide to join Ndele's CPNC for reunification, for integration with Nigeria. They hate Foncha, they say Foncha, despite the fact that marginalized most of the people of the North are from Mezam division, where you are coming from. So that was another it was very easy for Aejo. And then the last facilitator was division among West Cameroon and Mapola. Most West Cameroon politicians had a lot of division among themselves. On the 12th of February 1960, 12th of February 1972, Augustine Komjua sent a letter to Amada Aejo and Ewane, a confidential letter. In that letter, Augustine Komjua was crying that Mr. Aejo, come to my help. The level of victimization, backbiting among, and the key reference he was talking was Mona be a key rival to Augustine Komjua, backbiting among West Cameroon politicians. In 1966, when Dr. Benan Folon visited and saw his native land, they flash mob the level of division among the South people, political backbiting, make Dr. Benan Folon to recommend that didn't saw that one be a united people, but division, political division. So the division, the backbiting among West Cameroon politicians weakened them from defending the interest of West Cameroon to the advantage of Aejo. He exploited the division among them. That's why it was easy for him to convince them to dissolve all their political parties and create a single party called CNU.
Okay, I'm Mr. Leo. Happy National Day. Thank you for bringing these guys to the studio. They are great historians, citing facts as we observe them on present days, such route linking Tico, Douala, Miles, etc. More understanding. Okay. Mbeng Felix is watching from the United States of America. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and happy May 20th. I'm Sunjo Eric from Bui Division. I want to appreciate you for the nice program. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Leo and co. I'm Abine Godwin Ezeka from Cape Town, precisely Fiango. I want to say thank you for bringing men, especially like that my brother, putting on the shirt with real historical facts, braving the altar to come out with a genuine history. I'll take some more messages before we continue. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. I wish to ask the panelists that what circumstances led to the Fumban conference? Was it the failure of the Southern Cameroonian politicians that made it easy for Aejo to abolish the federal system of government? Bison Joel is writing from Boya, but I'm sure you have you've explained that.
The person is asking reason why in Fumba in 1961 they could not establish unit
federal system of government.
The person asking that why
let me read it. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists. I wish to ask the panelists what circumstances led to the Fumban conference.
Okay, event that led to the Fumban conference. Yeah, finish his message.
Yes. Was it the failure of Southern Cameroonian politicians that made it easy for Ahijo to abolish the federal system of government? You just explained that.
Yeah,
there was a lot of backbiting, there was infighting, and you raised the issue of tribalism. But what led to the Fumban conference?
The circumstances to the Fumban conference, Mr. Echelon, let me not take the floor. Let my colleague say something.
If you want to trace the circumstances leading to the Fumban conference, maybe I will go back and look at the crisis in the eastern region of Nigeria in 1953, where as a result of this crisis, Southern Cameroonians were nowhere treated in the eastern region of Nigeria, which caused them to lose their lone ministerial position in the eastern region, where Estimuna was dismissed. When Estimuna was dismissed as Minister of War, we look at a situation whereby EMA Ndelena has to go in, who was the one who led those who formed the Benevolent Neutrality Bloc. When they formed the Benevolent Neutrality neutrality bloc, whom according to the benevolent neutrality bloc, they wanted to demonstrate their vexation or their anger for the fact that their only ministerial position was taken away from them due to a crisis that embodies Betu, Nigerian, Namdi Ezekwe, and Eyo Eta. So with the formation of the benevolent neutrality bloc, it made the people to summon the Mamfe Petition Conference, whereby in 1953 May, they wrote a petition letter, and Eme Endele carried this petition letter to London and present to Oliver Littington and demanded for the separation of southern Cameroon from the eastern region of Nigeria. And when Endele went to London, they asked him, Endele was given the task to come back home and win elections to prove that the people of southern Cameroon were not in support of the attachment to Nigeria. When Endele came back home, Endele now has to form the KNC party as the first political party in British Southern Cameroon, thereby leading to the formation of the KPP party. By 1955, we saw the breakaway from the KNC, where Django Foncha and Enjoy they have to form.
But tell us the path that led to the Fumban conference.
I'm stressing the circumstances. That is why I'm moving chronologically.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've talked about 1955, the formation of KNDP. In 1957, we talk about the London Constitutional Conference, whereby it was out to amend the 1954 Oliver Littington Constitution that granted Southern Cameroon a quasi-region. And by 1958, the status of the region that was given to Southern Cameroon was upgraded from a quasi-region to a full region, whereby on January 1959, J.M. Foncha won election and became Prime Minister of British Southern Cameroon, where the KNDP/OK Alliance won the KNC-KPP Alliance. When Foncha became Prime Minister in 1959, we talk about the 1960. There was a preparation, still 1959, in August 1959, we talk about the Mamfe Plebiscite Conference, where the people of Southern Cameroon met in Mamfe in August 1959 to discuss whether they will gain independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon, or they will continue with their association with Nigeria. But since the Mamfe Plebiscite Conference resulted into a fiasco, they could not come to a concrete decision whether they should join Nigeria or they should join the Republic of Cameroon, as some of the politicians like PM Kale was in support of a separate entity for Southern Cameroon. So the UN now was forced to impose the plebiscite question on them as: do you wish to gain independence by joining the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or do you wish to gain independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon? So in 1960, we saw where the KNC of EMA Endele and the KPP, they decided to dissolve and form a new political party in British Southern Cameroon, was called Cameroon People's National Congress. And by 1961, 11 February 1961, we saw the organization of a plebiscite in British Southern Cameroon, where the KNDP of Django Foncha contested to gain independence by reunification, and the CPNC wanted integration. And at the end of the plebiscite, Foncha won. When Foncha won the plebiscite, now we talk about the Bamenda All-Party Conference of June 1961, and from the Bamenda All-Party Conference, now we move to Fumban on the 17th to the 21st of July 1961. So that is tracing some of the events, the political events in British Southern Cameroon that culminated to the holding of the Fumban Constitutional Conference.
Okay, I'll get some few messages and then we continue. I don't know, some persons may want to understand better. Good evening to you in the studio. I'm Sylvester watching from Boya. Good evening to you, Sylvester. Mr. Liu, I would like to know more about the benevolent votes. I had researched so much about this information but couldn't find anything. What is this all about? Benevolent vote?
Yeah, okay. When we talk about the benevolent neutrality bloc, we are looking at a section. By 1951, there was the Macpherson Constitution that was put in place to cover both Nigeria and Southern Cameroon. And according to this Macpherson Constitution, British Southern Cameroon was divided into 6 administrative districts. We have Bamenda, we have Campbell, we have Wom, we have Kumba, we have Victoria, and we have Mamfe. Now, under the Macpherson Constitution, Southern Cameroon was given, the number of seats given to Southern Cameroon in the Eastern Regional House of Assembly in Enugu was increased from 2 under the Richard Constitution to 13 seats. So there were 13 Southern Cameroon representatives in the eastern region of Nigeria, which shows that all the 6 districts, they had 2 representatives, except of Bamenda district that had 3 representatives. Again, still under the Macpherson constitution, one of the conditions was that Southern Cameroon was to send 1 ministerial position into the Eastern Regional House of Executive in Enugu, and this ministerial position was occupied by St. Muna as Minister of Works. And again, the constitution stipulated that Southern Cameroon should send 1 ministerial position in the Federal House of Executive in Lagos, and it was occupied by Eme Endele as Minister of Labor. Now, there came a time whereby in 1953 there was a crisis in the eastern region of Nigeria, because the eastern region of Nigeria was governed by the NCNC, who was a Nigerian political party created by Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Now, through this party, Azikiwe was unable to become leader of government business in the Eastern Regionals of Assembly, but rather Professor Eyo Eta was the assistant or the vice chairman of the party, became leader of government business in the Eastern Regional House of Executive, while Nnamdi Azikiwe was represented in the Federal House of Assembly in Lagos and he was not even represented through the elections from the eastern region. And when Azikiwe was in the Federal House of Assembly, he was not happy because he felt that he would have won elections to become a representative rather than being appointed, since he was having one of the popular and influential political party in Nigeria. So as a result of that, he wanted to give instructions or control Professor Eyo Eta on how to govern the eastern region. Nnamdi Azikiwe gave Eyo Eta instructions, change the constitution of the eastern region. Eyo Eta refused. Nnamdi Azikiwe went ahead and asked Eyo Eta that he should dismiss some ministers who were criticizing him, and even those who were not working very well. Eyo Eta refused. When Eyo Eta refused, it started a problem between these 2 politicians, and the Southern Cameroonians came in. Where the problem of Southern Cameroon in this crisis was the fact that Southern Cameroonians went in and supported Nnamdi Azikiwe. They gave their full support to Nnamdi Azikiwe. The reason was because when Southern Cameroon was attached to the eastern region of Nigeria, the domineering attitude of Nigerian tribes over the people of Southern Cameroon scared the people of Southern Cameroon, and Nnamdi Azikiwe was the only Nigerian who was calling for the people of Southern Cameroon. Nnamdi and Chief Obafemi Awolowo, they stand behind the people of Southern Cameroon's demand for a separate region. And when the people of Southern Cameroon were demanding for a separate region and Nnamdi supported them, we discovered that the crisis in the eastern region of Nigeria between Nnamdi Azikiwe and Eyo Eta, whereby Eyo Eta was not happy for the fact that Southern Cameroonians has to support Nnamdi Azikiwe. We all know politics is crash my back, I crash your back. So the people of Southern Cameroon were giving full support to Nnamdi Azikiwe in the crisis between him and Eyo Eta, because Nnamdi has supported their call for a separate region. And when they supported Nnamdi Azikiwe, since Eyo Eta was the leader of government business, leading the 9 ministers in the eastern region of Nigeria, he has to go ahead and then dismiss St. Muna as Minister of Work. That was when the people of Southern Cameroon became annoyed, and they has to ask that they should reinstate St. Muna back as minister. And when Muna was not put back as minister, Endele has to summon 9 out of the 13 Southern Cameroon representatives in the eastern region, and they form the Benevolent Neutrality Bloc. The remaining 4 refused to join the Benevolent Neutrality Bloc, and they gave their reasons that those who elected them to represent them in the eastern region of Nigeria, they haven't asked them to stay away from the region. Again, they said the traditional rulers would endorse them to represent them. They have not also asked them to stay away from the eastern region of Nigeria, and so they have to continue to maintain their positions.
The Mbele block.
Good. Because the Mbele's block.
Okay, so they decided not to go the way of the Benevolent Neutrality Bloc. Yes, but immediately after these guys went for campaigns at the time, you said it was the West Cameroon now.
Yeah, West Cameroon.
And referendum. After that, what happened? What was the impression amongst the politicians? They told themselves that it was a job well done, or immediately they started regretting.
No, but what they wanted was, as you repeat that, the West Cameroon politicians, they were not working as a group for the interests of West Cameroon. It was individual interests, not as a group for West Cameroon, Mr. Leonard. We should be clear about this. Now, just imagine that on the 15th of May 1972, Foncha is talking to the people of Bamenda at the Bamenda grassland, telling them the advantage of unitary state and discouraging federation.
That's 1972. After the
no, I mean during the campaign. I still want to come back to campaign because see the way campaign team was sent, they penetrated West Cameroon, because I quite remember on the 15th of May 1972. The then territorial minister Victor Ayenze Mvondo, I just sent him to West Cameroon House of Chiefs. There were 26 member chiefs in West Cameroon. Victor Ayenze Mvondo visited West Cameroon, Southern Cameroon House of Chiefs or West Cameroon House of Chiefs, 26 members, and there they openly told Mr. Victor Ayenze that we are going to tell our population in our different villages that they should vote for a unity state. Creation of unity state, and they went into action immediately. I mean traditional, I mean chiefs. Now GT Timba, he was the traditional ruler of Batibo, and he was the Politburo CNU like the vice president, the president of CNU for the Momo division or for the Momo branch. GT Timba was the one telling the people of his village that they should vote for the creation of unity state. They should support the creation of unity by voting on white paper and not black paper. Then there was Abombi the second, the son of Bafut. The son of Bafut called Abombo the second also informed his village, the people in his village, that they should vote for unity and not federation. Mr. Leonard, what I'm saying is that just imagine that an elite of your constituency coming to tell you the importance of this and discouraging this. Can you go against? You cannot go against. Now, the truth is that at the end of the day, West Cameroon politicians among themselves, they were helpless in the hand of their master, and the master was Ayejo Yaounde. It was a game of my interest. And just imagine that in 1972, Njua already been dismissed in 1968 by Ayejo. But in 1972, Njua constituted one of the team. I think they sent Augustine Gondwa to Nkambi to go and do campaign for unity. There was no way that the referendum would not record the vote of 99.9%. And Ayejo was very intelligent. At the end of the day, it was clear. I just said that no. I just said that no. Let us not just join the vote and count it. Because if we join the vote and count it, it will be like a majority are from East Cameroon. The vote will separate Mr. Leonard. And you know the historical irony in this. West Cameroonians had 99.8% in favor of unity, while East Cameroon had about 97.8%. Meaning that West Cameroon massively voted for Cameroon to be changed from federal to unity more than East Cameroonian. Those are historical facts. We have consulted primary and secondary sources. We have consulted primary and secondary sources, classified and unclassified document on this, what we are discussing here. So now, I think I'm repeating, and I'm still repeating here, that the politicians of West Cameroon in the 1960s, 1970s, what they were doing was personally for their interests. It was purely about their interests. Now,
you have not answered my question. Somebody is asking a question here. I want if you can answer.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah. The person is asking that. Good evening, Mr. Liu. So Southern Cameroon was independent before the Fumban Conference or after the Fumban Conference? Paul is writing from Quartier Bois de Singe in Douala.
Okay, no. Claire, Southern Cameroon had independence on the 1st of October 1961 in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon before the Fumban Conference. If they never had independence in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon, they won't have been in Fumban Conference. Fumban Conference was a conference of merit with Southern Cameroon who have voted to join the Republic of Cameroon. UN have given the independence not as a separate entity, but in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. So they had independence 1st October 1961, October, September, November, December. It was independent first before Fumban Conference. After independence now, Southern Cameroon under Jongo Foncha, who was the reunificationist, who was the outstanding man who took Southern Cameroon for reunification. He decided now first to call for the Bamenda All-Party Conference. The conference ran from the 26th to the 28th of June 1961 in the Bamenda Congress Hall. The reason why Foncha called for this conference was to discuss only with the Anglophones of Northwest and Southwest to agree on how the union will look like. Union between who? Union between Southern Cameroon, who voted for reunification on the 11th of February 1961, with the Republic of Cameroon. They are voting to come together to establish a federation. So Foncha face just like a young girl on the street. When a man tell you that will get married to you, you not just go and pack your thing and go to the man. You first go and have your family meeting with your family, and we're telling them that, and you'll be telling your family members that, mommy, this man is from this tribe. How am I going to do? What will get married? So Foncha immediately after voting for reunification, 11 February 1961, Southern Cameroon know that they are already going for reunification with the Republic of Cameroon.
Yeah,
let me just land.
Yes.
Let me just answer.
Yes. Yeah.
So immediate the question. Let me answer the question. Southern Cameroon independent 1st October 1961 before the Fumban conference. Fumban conference was Monday 17 July to Friday.
Did they have independent as
a separate? They are independent, not as a separate entity in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon.
Yeah, but somebody was talking about the Enugu and the
no,
rest.
Those are constitutional development coming to that 1961.
Let me come in. All right, our viewers, we should know it that Southern Cameroon has not had independence as a separate entity.
Yes.
The very day British Southern Cameroon had independence, they reunite with the Republic of Cameroon. That is why even on the 1st of October 1961, where Southern Cameroon had independence, President Amadou Ahidjo was in Boya. Immediately Southern Cameroon had independence, they reunite that very day. So Southern Cameroon had never had independence as a separate entity. It's true that Southern Cameroon was given a quasi-region in 1954 under the Oliver Littleton Constitution, but it was not. And that quasi region, Southern Cameroon, was still attached again to Nigeria. They were not completely cut off from Nigeria. And we talk about again by 1957 during the London Constitutional Conference, this region was upgraded to a full region equal to the status of the region in Nigeria. So we should know it very well that immediately Southern Cameroon had independence on the 1st of October 1961, and this independence came after they have held a conference in Bamenda, as my colleague said, in June 1961. Went to Fumban in July 1961, and in August 1961 they had the Yaoundé tripartite conference, which was to finish the unfinished work of Fumban before October 1961.
Some clarification. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thank you for the good job you guys are doing to sensitize the public. Please, I have a worry. When those historians are saying Foncha became the prime minister in 1959, should we consider that Southern Cameroon had a government by this time? Mukete is my name, from Mundemba. If not, Foncha became a prime minister under which government?
Thanks very much for that. You can answer.
Okay, all right. Yeah, your question. We need to know that British Southern Cameroon was attached to Nigeria. What the viewer is confused because there is what we call British Southern Cameroon and the state of West Cameroon. They are two different states existing at two different times. If you cannot differentiate it, therefore you will not be able to know. That is why you discover that EML Ndele was prime minister of British Southern Cameroon, but had never been prime minister of West Cameroon. So if we are talking about Foncha becoming prime minister, he was prime minister of British Southern Cameroon. That is, Southern Cameroon was still governed under the by the British during the trusteeship period. By then, the British were ruling Southern Cameroon under the supervision of the United Nations, which means Southern Cameroon had not yet had independence. So it was a government but under the British, supervised by the United Nations. When they had independence on the 1st of October 1961, that's when the trusteeship came to an end, but they immediately reunite with the Republic of Cameroon.
That's separate government.
Okay.
Yeah, the British, they introduced the prime minister. They introduced the post of the prime minister in May 1958 in Southern Cameroon.
Yeah.
And that May 1958, who was the first prime minister of Southern Cameroon in that 1950 was Dr. Ndele.
Yeah.
And then again in 1959, another elections were organized on the
24th of January 1959.
During that election, before Foncha won, still as the prime minister of Southern Cameroon. But now in 1961, now it was for plebiscite. When Ndele was campaigning now as integration with Nigeria, while Foncha was campaigning reunification. Foncha won on that 11th of 1961 for reunification, but before winning, he had been a prime minister. But the ministerial position was introduced in Southern Cameroon in May 1958, and the first was Dr. Ewane Ndele. And the Foncha only won him again in the 24th January 1959 election as the second prime minister of Southern Cameroon. we should not be confused between Southern Cameroon and State of West Cameroon. When they won for reunification on the 11th February 1961, when Foncha won for reunification, they went to Mfumban Conference. Foncha led the Southern Cameroon to Mfumban Conference. Aidjo led the Republic of Cameroon. I'm calling it the Republic of Cameroon and not French Cameroon, because when they had independence from France on the 1st of January 1960, the name changed from French Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon. So Foncha of Southern Cameroon voted for reunification, and UN get the independence on the 1st of October 1961 in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. They were not going to Mfumban to meet and establish the federal constitution in Mfumban. We should be clear about this. They went to Mfumban to meet and establish the union of Southern Cameroon, meeting with the Republic of Cameroon. And that is why in Mfumban they established the Federal Republic of Cameroon, made up of two states. Southern Cameroon changed to the state of West Cameroon. The Republic of Cameroon changed to the state of East Cameroon.
Okay.
The expiration started from 1961 right to 1972 that we are talking that it was abolished and unity still came in.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Those young men are well read. They talk with facts. Please invite them next time. I am B. Samuel writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. I'm enjoying the historical discussions on the 20th of May. Nji is writing from Isu. Nji, extend my greetings to my junior brother Mala. If you see him tomorrow. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Diba Emmanuel, alias Doctor from Kumba Town. This is one of the best broadcasting on my media prime. All what I learned in Cameroon history for years can't be compared to the exclusive explanation of wisdom spoken by these two historians, genius. I am so delighted listening to them now. I know my history. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. I would like to do this correction. Southern Cameroon had independence on the 1st of October 1961 after the Mfumban Conference. Divine is writing from Edea. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and your please. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and your panelists and members. I am really enjoying the debate today, but my worry is that since the crisis, or even before it, shows that the history of Cameroon, especially former Southern Cameroon, has been distorted intentionally to suit the current agenda. This is because most, if not all, of the historians telling us the history themselves at times are not agreeing on certain key facts, and reason is because of all of them are basing on domestic facts, which I strongly believe have been distorted. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thank you for the good job you guys are doing to sensitize the public. Please, I have a worry. When those historians are saying Foncha became the prime minister, I'm sure I read that already. Good evening, sir, and the fellow panelists list. I love this topic. Thank you, Ngui. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. No need to trace right back to 1953 Eastern Regional Crisis. The main circumstances leading to the Mfumban Constitutional Conference was the plebiscite of 11th of February. After the results were declared in favor of reunification with French Cameroon, it was but normal that the two Cameroons meet to decide on the future of the country. This is Mr. Ilangwe Robert Ngwe writing from Bamenda. I want us to get the reaction after. We know that what we live today is because Foncha later on showed some regrets. Estimuna also after resigning from the CPDM party. How do we explain that these are the guys, like you said, that elites come and discuss, they tell you, they convince you that this is what has to happen? When did they start realizing that they may have made an error, or like you said, it is their personal interests, or is it because they fell out of favor with Aidjo?
Mr. Leonard, let me just answer that. We are discussing this to sensitize and to educate people.
Yes,
please.
Facts, yeah.
They are historical facts. We have consulted both primary and secondary sources, classified and unclassified document. Please. There was the plebiscite before the Mfumban conference. Mfumban is where husband and wife they are meeting. Mfumban is where two people are coming to reunify. There was plebiscite first, and Foncha won before the Mfumban. Please. We should not distort historical facts here, please. We are not politicians, eh? Yeah, we are here. We are not politicians.
Can you answer my question?
Now, Mr. Leonard, using political history of Cameroon, beginning from the early 1960s to 2024 today, we discovered that, especially with West Cameroon politicians, the truth is that, let's go back to that issue of self-centeredness and favor. I repeat, self-centeredness and favor. Mr. Leonard, it is very unfortunate. I think this one is not history, but it's just this one I will not put a historical fact, but just general observation. Most West Cameroonians, whenever they lost their position, they strive more, work hard to save the master and regain that position or another post. I see repeating. Whenever they lost their position, they strive more, work hard to regain that position or gain more. E.g., Njua was dismissed in 1968. Under normal circumstances, somebody would think that he will not work again with Amaju Ayojo because Amaju Ayojo dismissed him in 1968. But again, in 1972, during the campaign for unitary, he led one of the delegation. When he was in Kambe, he did campaign in Kambe for telling people to vote for, telling people to vote for unity state. So what I'm saying is that the truth is that that general interest was not there. We should be clear about this. It was individual interest, not general interest. And whenever they fall, whenever they drop them or they think that they are losing their individual interest, they start trying to regain back that particular interest, that particular benefit, or they will not come to seek back and listen to the voice of the people. I'm still repeating. They had their individual interest, their individual position, and whenever they lost this particular position or this particular interest, they will now come back to listen to the voice of the people or try to fight and maintain another position. That is the bitter truth. Now, for example, because this thing was saying here, they are too sentimental, especially for the particular day like today. For example, you will not say, you just an example, like a politician, we know very well that maybe his people of his constituency will listen to him. He is the one influencing them. Whatever he say, they will listen to him. That politician will know very well that the people, if he say no, we don't want unitary, we want federation, the people will follow him. But the position of that politician, because by 1972 there was only a single party called CNU, and all of them were members of this political party called CNU, having different position of interest. Now, if that position go back to the people and start saying that, okay, I'm not supporting, I don't think we don't want unity, we want federation, what will become of that politician? They will normally dismiss you, or you lost that particular position. So what the most politicians in West Cameroon were campaigning unity was not actually some of them. You go by the people. If I say that in that May 1972, some people were picked in Fundong for campaigning for federation, what does that mean? It means that had it been Fundong had powerful politicians who could forget about their interest and general interest of people and campaign for people to vote for federation, people from Fundong would have voted for federation. And why not other areas? But individual people took it in their hands to campaign that they should vote for federation. But the general elite, who people depend on, whom people they are campaigning but for their own individual interest, and it's the trend continued. I will not lie to you, Mr. Leonard. The trend continued to date.
Okay.
The interest of an individual or an Anglophone man is more than the general interest. That is the bitter truth. I think this one, I'm not talking about history. We look at observation. Somebody have mentioned Anglophone crisis up to now. People are saying with what happened in Fundong today. May the soul of the mayor of Bello, may his soul rest in peace. We know what happened today. We from onset we have not been fighting for our interests. Mr. Leonard, on the 26th of May 1961 and on the 14th to 19th of May 1961 in Boya and Yaoundé, before the Bamenda All-Party Conference, Ayojo met with Foncha twice. And in that meeting, these are historically proven, Ayojo had it to Foncha the Nfuman draft federal constitution. But during the Bamenda conference, while Southern Cameroon were saying that we want a loose federation, Foncha had the draft federal constitution talking about a centralized federation. He having centralized federation. While they were saying that what Douala as the capital, Foncha is having Yaoundé as the capital. But you tell me why is that Foncha could not present the Nfuman draft constitution during the Bamenda conference before taking them to Nfuman? It should really tell you that one of the reasons why they fail is greed and self-centeredness. People believe more in their self before the general interest. That's something I've discovered about an Anglophone or West Cameroon or whatever. General interest comes after an individual lost a position. When once that individual is in a particular position, family and individual interest come first. That is a bitter truth.
So many persons are worried. They're asking that, what do you guys mean by independence by joining? And this one says, thanks so much for this wonderful historical education. This was the West Cameroon not given the power to be on their own? Why did they immediately join East Cameroon? Zifon Elvis is writing from Bamenda. So many similar questions.
Yeah. We have to understand that before the independence of Southern Cameroon, I have talked about the Mamfe Plebiscite Conference of August 1959, whereby the United Nations asked the people of Southern Cameroon to deliberate and come to a compromise where they are going to gain their independence and go to. And we have talked about the fact that Frontier wanted reunification, EMA Ndele wanted integration, and we have politicians like PM Kale of the Cameroon United People Party who wanted Southern Cameroon to gain independence without reunification. Aside PM Kale, we also have traditional rulers like Chief Stephen Yensi of the Cameroon Commoners Congress, and we have Manga William of the Cameroon Ideological Party. These were traditional rulers who were not in support of the Southern Cameroon gaining independence by reunification. So Southern Cameroon have not gained independence as a separate entity. Southern Cameroon had independence that very day, and they reunite with the Republic of Cameroon. We should know it, and we know it very well. It was the will of the people of Southern Cameroon on the 11th of February 1961. They already accepted. Since they could not come to a compromise in the Mamfe Plebiscite Conference of August 1959, the United Nations has to impose a plebiscite question on them, because for 2 days in Mamfe, the conference resulted into a fiasco. So the UN now has to impose either you join Nigeria or you join the Republic of Cameroon. And on the 11th of February 1961, we have over 233,000 people that voted to join the Republic of Cameroon, as against 97,000 people that voted to join the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it was the will of the people to determine their sovereignty, where they have to go, that was implemented.
Okay.
And I think we should specify what was the plebiscite question. Do you people wish to achieve independence by? Do you people wish to achieve independence by
joining
the Federal Republic, integration with the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or reunification with the Republic of Cameroon? That was the plebiscite question that United Nations drafted, and UN took in charge to do this because Cameroon was a UN trust territory. It was UN independent. It was UN trust territory. So UN decided that it should grant them independent. We are not politicians here. They never gave Southern Cameroon independence before asking the Jews either the Republic of Cameroon or Nigeria. They said, do you wish to achieve independence by? So they were nothing as a separate entity here, please. And UN was the mastermind. Do you know that during the plebiscite, Saturday, 11th of February 1961, Mr. Leonard, do you know that UN sent security forces here to Southern Cameroon that particular Saturday? UN peace, some few UN peacekeeping mission left from Nigeria and from Britain and came to Southern Cameroon to make sure that they ensure security during the election. And during the election, it was UN who sent delegation from other countries to come and do the registration. UN provide ballot boxes and everything on that Saturday, 11th of February 1961. And at the end of the day, when Frontier won, it was UN who read the result, the winner, and consult them and try to reconcile with them. Even from then, Frontier started talking about Bamenda Conference to discuss Anglophones on how their union with the Republic of Cameroon will look like. From the Bamenda Conference, 26 to 28 of June 1961, next month, July, Fomban Conference in Fomban, Monday 17th of July to Friday 25th of July 1961 in Fomban. From Fomban now, they went now to the Yaoundé Tripartite Conference. That is 2nd of August to 7th of August 1960. So they called it Constitutional Conference to lay the platform to establish the federation between Southern Cameroon, who is changing to the state of West Cameroon, and the Republic of Cameroon, who is changing to the state of East Cameroon. These are purely historical facts, not politics. We are not politicians.
Some people are asking that they want you to clarify them on what you mean by payments. Civil servants were the ones who wanted reunification because there was disparity in the pay package in West Cameroon and East Cameroon.
Okay, let me come in. Yeah, that question is taking us back to the scrap or the dissolution of the federal system as one of the points we talk about salary disparities. My colleague earlier mentioned it clear that in 1966 the state of West Cameroon was having a financial problem, and this financial problem, we look at the per capita income of West Cameroon and East Cameroon, we discovered that West Cameroon has a per capita income of 19,000 francs, while East Cameroon has 46,000 francs. Now, again, still in that 1966, the state of West Cameroon has to loan money from the federal government to the tune of 400 million francs CFA to be able to use it and pay workers. And then we are saying that the reason was because of mismanagement in the West Cameroon Bank. And some sources will also talk about the transfer of revenue from West Cameroon to the federal government in Yaoundé by a federal inspector, Jean Klongo, who was in West Cameroon. So it created a financial problem in West Cameroon, and the state of West Cameroon was on the knee begging for financial assistance or subvention from the federal government, and Ayijo now have to use it as a pretext to give it that since the state cannot sustain itself, it cannot carry out project, neither of talking about paying its workers, they should scrap the federal structure so that the government, a single government will put in place that will take care of the finances of all the workers and projects.
Let me elaborate again. My colleague is saying, under federation from 1961 to 1972, Southern Cameroon changed to the state of West Cameroon, today Northwest and Southwest. East Cameroon changed to the Republic of Cameroon changed to the state of East Cameroon. Today the A region that speak French. They formed the Federal Republic from 1961 to 1972. There were three different governments. There was the West Cameroon government in Boya in charge of payment of civil servants in West Cameroon. It was based in Boya, paying civil servants in West Cameroon. They had a bank called the West Cameroon Bank. And this bank it hardly balanced its deficit. I don't want to go detailedly to what caused the financial crisis within the West Cameroon Bank, but historically it proven that they had a poor lending policy. Imagine to lend money to somebody that can pay the money after 89 years, and mismanagement within the West Cameroon Bank by politicians. And I set example that in 1966 they stopped Mukete from traveling to America. It was the then West Cameroon Prime Minister Augustin Komja who stopped Mukete, that he reformed back 1.3 million money that he took, he loaned from the West Cameroon Bank. And Mukete backed up by saying that he is not the only one. Other people are even worse than him, but they have been traveling. That's to tell you the level of mismanagement within the West Cameroon Bank. And because of that, it crippled the bank and hindered the bank to effectively pay West Cameroon civil servants. I repeat, in 1966, the bank was unable to pay civil servants in West Cameroon. It was time to loan from the federal government in Yaoundé about 400 million, and my colleague is saying that they were able to pay civil servants. Now, based on what I'm explaining on the West Cameroon Bank, it is categorically clear that civil servants in West Cameroon always face financial problems. And again, listen very well. In terms of payment, civil servants in West Cameroon were receiving a lower salary than civil servants in East Cameroon. Now, why is that civil servants in West Cameroon supported Ayijo to change Cameroon from federal to unitary? They knew that if they change Cameroon from federal to unitary, they will establish a national salary scale. When they establish a national salary scale, it will be now of those in West Cameroon now will have the salary will increase, will be at the same level of that of East Cameroon. Mr. Lo, that is one of the benefits of the creation of unity in West Cameroon. One of the benefits of the creation of unity on the people of West Cameroon is that it led to increase of salary of civil servants in West Cameroon, because truly, immediately when they established unity state in 1972, a national civil servants payroll was established for all, and that West Cameroon civil servants now started experiencing a better and regular salary under unity than it was under federation. I repeat, we are no politicians. These are pure historical facts.
Okay. Now, how do you reconcile the position that was later held by these same politicians on something that they work for, because they are the ones who campaigned for this?
Yeah, as my colleague earlier said, if you look at the way these politicians, these West Cameroon politicians, the way they work with Ayijo, they trusted Ayijo, especially in Foncha, but at the tail end, you discover that he was the way Ayijo dismissed him in 1970 as vice president of the federation and appointed Estimuna. I will say that Estimuna, to me, I will believe that he was working for his personal interest, but at the tail end, Muna to me was not the loser, because if you look at it, you see that when in 1960, Muna was the person, the West Cameroonian who supported the idea of a unitary state. as Njua was against it, Muna was supporting it full-heartedly. And we discovered that Muna, by 1968, Esti Muna was appointed Prime Minister of West Cameroon by Ayijo to replace Njua, whom Njua was opposing the idea of a unitary state, which Ayijo was not in love or support of that. Now, when Muna was put to replace Njua, Muna now has to walk away for 1972, where the state of West Cameroon was dissolved into and Cameroon became a unitary state. Now, in 1970, you discover that again, since Foncha was no more regular, Ayijo has to dismiss Foncha as vice president of the Federal Republic of Cameroon in 1970 and appointed Muna. When Muna was appointed in 1970, now there was a clause in the constitution that Ayijo has to amend the constitution, because if you look by 1965, under the federal constitution, Ayijo has to change the constitution and make it clear that no personality should handle two positions at the same time. That is the post of vice president of the federation and the post of prime minister, whom these positions were handed by Jongo Foncha. So in 1965 elections, Foncha has to drop the post of prime minister of West Cameroon. Now, to say that Muna was not the greatest loser, you discover that in 1970, Ayijo has to amend again this constitution to make it clear that somebody can handle these two positions at the same time, where Esti Muna now was the vice president of the federation and still holding the post of prime minister of West Cameroon in 1970.
Okay.
So
so many persons are watching and sending so many messages and asking that we should organize another program with the two of you. But many persons are asking that what was the essence of the plebiscite? And then others are asking, why do we keep talking of reunification? Reunification, how do we understand this? The plebiscite was for what?
Now,
and reunification.
this is, I'll just put it historically. Politicians will interpret it. Politicians, we are bringing historical fact here, please. Politicians want to tell people what you want to hear. We bring historical fact because we are doing the research. Germany colonized Cameroon in 1884. Germany annexed Cameroon in 1884. And there was what they call German Cameroon. From 1884 to 1969, Mr. Echelon.
yeah,
There was German Cameroon from 1884 to 1914. Let me say 1916, 1914. But in 1914, there was the outbreak of which war? The First World War. The war was extended to Cameroon in August 1914. And in that August 1914, Britain, France, and Belgium were fighting against Germany. And they finally defeated Germany on the 18th of February 1916. And Germany was chased out of Cameroon. Now, let's look at colonization. We agree historically that there was a German Cameroon from 1884 to 1914. Historically, there was a German Cameroon from 1884 to 1914. That is, Germany had been in Cameroon for almost 28 to 30 years. If my mathematics don't fail me. Now, when Britain and France took over Cameroon, they partitioned Cameroon, and Britain administered a portion of part of Nigeria. France administered her own separately, but under French Equatorial Africa. But now, from 1916 to 1961, 1916 to 1960-61, Cameroon was under Britain and France as a Mandela letter trustee. I just want to clarify this. I'm not a politician. If we agree that there was a German Cameroon from 1884 to 1914, and then partition in 1916, now in 1961, Foncha, who advocated for Southern Cameroon to join by French Cameroon, if Foncha is taking Southern Cameroon to join by French Cameroon, it means that it should be the second time, whether it was under colonialism, post-colonialism, or whether it was under colonialism or post-colonialism. I don't want to go far. Politicians can interpret that one. But if we agree that there was a German Cameroon from 1884 to 1914, therefore we cannot refuse that this very Cameroon under Britain and France as mandated and later trust after independence. Foncha again is having independence by joining back. That's the second time now, Mr. Leo. We cannot keep saying that it's unification now. There have been German Cameroon from 1884 to 1914. Coming back in 1961 now is the better terminology historically is reunification. I think that one is clear. Yes, you also say that somebody asked about plebiscite. A plebiscite refer to a political situation where people of a given state that is not independent. A plebiscite is not only in Southern Cameroon. There are many regions that the League of Nations and even UN have organized plebiscite. I think there was a territory called the Saar region in Germany that a plebiscite was organized. You heard about the Saar region, and the people voted to join Germany. It was taken from Germany after the First World War, but in the plebiscite. So plebiscite is referred to a political situation where people of a given state are asked to determine their political future by voting to join under either country A or B. I repeat, plebiscite refers to a political situation where people of a given state are allowed to determine their political future by voting to join under either one country A or B. As the case of Southern Cameroon, on the 11th of February 1961, the United Nations organization, who owned the territory as a UN trust territory, decided to determine or allow the people enjoy self-determination by allowing the people to determine their political future between two countries, Nigeria and the Republic of Cameroon. Why Nigeria and the Republic of Cameroon? My colleague already explained clear that, Mr. Leonard, whether you like or not, historical fact claimed clear that Foncha and Endele for a period of time were unable to come to one agreement over issue of independence for Southern Cameroon. In the London Conference of 1958, Britain tried to reconcile Foncha and Endele to come to one agreement over issue of independence for Southern Cameroon. Others, they should agree for Nigeria or for the Republic of Cameroon. Endele stood for integration with Nigeria. Foncha stood for reunification with the Republic of Cameroon.
How about the third option? Where was the third option in all of this?
Let me fill land. The London 1958, Britain was unable to reconcile them. Britain again organized another conference in August 1959 in Manfred, the Manfred Conference. It was headed by a British man called Cecil Phillipson. Phillipson tried to reconcile and bring Foncha and Endele to one agreement over issue of independence for Southern Cameroon. But Endele stood for integration with Nigeria and Foncha for reunification. Britain said that it means that it doesn't matter, it's above me to bring people to one agreement. Britain now said, let me give back the territory to honor, because Southern Cameroon or Cameroon in general was not a British territory, but a mandate to trustship under the United Nations organization. It was mandate under the League of Nations, but when the League collapsed, UN took over. So Britain handed Southern Cameroon back to the honor, and the honor was the United Nations. It was the UN who decided plebiscite for them to willing it with the people, will of the people to vote which one they wish. Okay. So they voted for Foncha for reunification on the 11th of February 1961. Okay. That's what they call plebiscite.
Okay. You had something to add to it?
Yeah,
you asked a question on.
Yeah, they were asking about the third option in the yeah. I earlier made mention of some politicians in British Southern Cameroon who were not really in support of reunification or integration. Even we look at Fonachirumbi the second of Bafuru, or the spokesperson in the Mampe plebiscite conference, he made it clear, and I quote from him, that we ran away from Mr. Endele because he wanted to take us to Nigeria, and if Mr. Foncha, you want to take us to French Cameroon, we will also run away from you. To me, going to Nigeria is entry into a deep sea, and going to French Cameroon is entry into the lake of fire. That was a statement of Fonachirumbi the second in the Mampe plebiscite conference. I mean, it therefore showed that there were some Southern Cameroonians who did not want to integrate or who did not want to reunite. Again, we talk about the case of PM Kale, who has intentionally formed the political party KUP, Cameroon United People, in 1959, purposely to go in for the plebiscite to campaign for independence without reunification or integration. But now the United Nations was not in support because, one, we talk again about the Afro-Asian bloc of the UN. We have African countries like Egypt, Ghana, and Guinea-Conakry, that they were not in support of smaller states, independent of smaller states in Africa, because by the late 1950s and early 1960s, their target was to form the United States of Africa. So they did not want the balkanization of the continent, and they were not in support of Southern Cameroon gaining independence as a separate state. So the third option was not given. That is why when the UN framed the plebiscite question with two options, PM Kale has to dissolve the KUP party because the purpose of the party was not given.
Let me just add something to that. The issue of the third option, as my brother is saying, was I was consulting a particular source that is on two-story of reunification by Professor Julongo, and I also consult another source again. This source, that is the golden age of southern Cameroon, West Cameroon, 1940-1972. Yes, and I also consult this source on my Odyssey by VM Mukete, and was consult the consent even some classified document at the National Archive. Mr. Leonard, the issue of third option, it was the most popular option in southern Cameroon. It is historically proven. It was the most popular option, and who advocated for third option? As my brother is saying, it was a certain politician in southern Cameroon called PM Kale. PM Kale had a political party called Cameroon United Party. When the UN did not give a third option, he just opted that there should be third option. He was PM Kale, having a party called Cameroon United Party, and he had some few supporters. What I mean by support, yes, there are some other political parties. There was a political known as Cameroon Commoners Congress of Chief Nyenti Tambe.
Yeah, Stephen Nyenti.
Stephen Nyenti Tambe Omanfe. He was also behind PM Kale. And there was another party known as Cameroon Indigenous Party on Manga William in Victoria. Yeah. He was also behind PM Kale. And what about my colleague have talked about Fona Chirimbi of Bafut? No what Chirimbi made it clear. All white people are talking about the Republic of Cameroon, Nigeria. I'm not part of you people. He made it clear that Nigeria is deep blue sea. Why French Cameroon is fire? I prefer to join PM Kale for independence southern Cameroon. He addressed Nigeria as deep blue sea because, according to him, if southern Cameroon join Nigeria, they will swim in the majority Igbo population. And he addressed French Cameroon as deep as fire because of the UPC crisis that rocked the area from 1955 up to 1971. So there was an independent political party. There was a party of PM Kale that wanted independent southern Cameroon. But unfortunately, the key man who masterminded everything, who planned everything concerning plebiscite was the United Nations Organization. UN rejected the third option of PM Kale. I had a class somewhere, a student asked, I'm a researcher, I'm not a politician. A student asked, but what do you think? UN rejected the third option of PM Kale. UN did not only reject the third option. Some historical sources that are consulted, I will not have time to be consulted. So one historical source declared that UN have sent a commission to the then Northwest, to the then Southern Cameroon today and Northwest and Southwest. There was a commission headed by a man called Chick, the Chick Commission. When the commission went to do an economic commission to do economic resource to see how viable the territory can sustain as an independent state, the economic resources that can generate or enable the territory to sustain an independent state. According to this Chick Commission sent by the UN, the commission, after coming back, made it clear that the territory was not economically viable to sustain an independent state. We are not saying that they were not untapped resources in southern Cameroon. They were untapped resources. We have talked about the Menchum Otto field waterfall. We have talked about I'm talking of we're talking about UN option 1959-1960. Don't go and be calling oil resources. It was discovered in August 1964 at Cape Limbo in Victoria. We're talking of 1959-1960. So according to the UN, the historical source declared that the commission that did the economic commission from UN discovered the territory is not economically viable to sustain as an independent state. And Britain fear, because when it comes to diplomacy, when it comes to international relations, Britain in general don't always want to spend on one she will not benefit. Britain fear that if they give Southern Cameroon independent state that she's not economically viable, she will keep depending on her. Because of that, Britain's openly said that no, because it's not independent. Britain said that Britain, just like UN, said it's not economically viable. Better they should be given independent by joining either the Republic of Cameroon or the Nigeria. And plebiscite was to allow the people to determine their political future through ballot box. Plebiscite was to allow the people of Southern Cameroon determine their political future through ballot box. So on that Saturday, 11 February 1961, Southern Cameroon stood on the line. It was UN who determined who are qualified to vote in that region. And UN said that those who have been born in that region, who are of 18 years of age, are people who are supposed to vote in that region.
We are out of time. Many persons are writing. Your crew program is very educative. Please, is it true that the options for election was yes and we? There is this information that is
going. No, let me clarify on that based on my source. Let's base on my source. Option yes or we, that's unity state. No, based on my source that I've consulted, there were two ballot papers, white and black. On white was yes in English and we in French, and on black was no in English and none in French. The 2 ballot papers. That is that. Now, other sources that I'm not seeing is just other sources that is not documented. I will not call that a historical fact, because there are situations that people say that West Cameroon under intimidation in some remote areas, people who could not understand French and English, they were voting yes, and we thinking that we is no. But those are sources that for my research, they are not really verified, they are not really credible. But I know that there were 2 ballot papers, and the most West Cameroon politicians who were campaigning for these ballot papers, they were telling people that this white signifies purity, it signifies love, it signifies because in 1961 during plebiscite, Foncha also picked about a white ballot box, while NDD took a green ballot box. But my colleague, maybe he have consult sources will say that they were intimidated or forced to say yes or we. But my historical research, I've not seen that. I know that there were 2 ballot papers.
Okay, we are going to be ending at this juncture. So many messages are requesting that I bring you guys. I hope we create time again to continue with this discussion. Thank you for coming, Sir Echelon.
Yeah, it's a privilege, Mr. Leo, and anytime the opportunity is given, I will come to educate the population and the history of Cameroon. We are not politicians, as my colleague earlier said, because people should not put sentiment on what we say here. We are historians, and we are just trying to educate the public on what we do research on. Thank you so much, our viewers.
Thank you too for coming, Jentle.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Leonard. I quite remember we walk a long way. This is my platform. Anytime you invite us, we'll come. And then for the televiewers, we are just students and researchers in this field. We are not perfect. No human being is perfect. I think we might have some lapses, and we are always ready for correction. But we are happy for you people sitting and listening to us. And anytime Mr. Leonard calls, we'll always be there. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you guys for watching Desmond and Eli. Thank you for the great sacrifices you guys are doing, not just for yourselves, not just for the house, but for Cameroonians and Africans as a whole. Thank you too to the supervisor of what we are doing, Mr. Tabi Tambe Bryant. We love you so much. Celebrate this evening moderately, because tomorrow we need to continue with work. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.